All right. Welcome everyone to the Town of Arlington Redevelopment Board meeting. Today is December 15th, 2025. I'd like to call this meeting to order. My name is Rachel Zemberry, and I am the chair of the board. Would the other members of the board please introduce themselves?
Steve Revelak.
Eugene Benson.
Shayna Corman-Houston.
Ken Lau.
And we also have joining us this evening the Director of the Department of Planning and Community Development, Claire Ricker.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to our first agenda item, which is a review of the meeting minutes from November 17th, 2025. Are there any additions or corrections from the board? Starting with Steve.
None here.
Jean?
None.
Shayna?
None.
Ken?
None.
And I have none as well. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes from November 17th as submitted?
So motioned.
Second.
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
Shayna?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Those meeting minutes have been approved. We'll now move to the meeting minutes from December 1st, 2025. Are there any additions or corrections, starting with Steve?
No.
Jean?
No changes.
No.
Shayna?
None.
Ken?
No changes.
Great. And I have none either. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes from December 1st, 2025?
So motioned.
Second.
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
Shayna?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. The meeting minutes have been approved for December 1st, and that closes agenda item number 1. We'll now move to agenda item number 2, which is a discussion of 1306 to 1308 Massachusetts Avenue, and I will turn it over to Director Ricker.
Great, thank you. I would refer you to the memo written by our Economic Development Coordinator, Katie Lusai, to the board and to me regarding the current status of the project at 1306 to 1308 Mass Ave. It appears that work commenced on the project and then has since stopped. We have been in contact with the building owner about the windows that were removed as part of the initial phase of construction. What we have heard back is that the building owner is interested in solutions that don't involve reinstalling the windows and repapering, potentially painting plywood or another material in the windows. There are recommendations towards the end of Ms. Lusai's memo, which are that that the board may require the property owner to paint the plywood, or the board may require the installation and then the subsequent papering of property windows. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Is the applicant here with us this evening? Or the owner of the property here with us this evening? Okay.
No?
So let's turn it over to the board for discussion, and we'll start with Ken.
Well, seeing that they're not here, I can't ask them a question. What's the cause of the delay? Is it economical, or is it because of some mitigating circumstance with the building material, or is it structural, or something that's ongoing?
Director Ricker, do you have any information about the cause of the delay?
I don't have any more information for the cause of the delay, short of the project pulling several permits and then the permits expiring with lack of work being done. I'm not sure if it's a financial issue or something else.
Thank you.
If that's the case, I'm going to require them to do a little bit more than what we have talked about. When I walk down that street, it's very dark. And I would like them to put lighting or some sort of lighting along their property line, either some temporary downlights off the roof or something that lights up the sidewalk, because there's no light that comes off the windows. All it is plywood. So I would prefer if they would put some lighting in the soffit temporarily or something like that. So it would light the thing up, and it could be put on timers so that it comes on at when it gets dark and maybe shuts off sometime around 11 at night. And they also should address the plywood and paint it so it looks a little more, less condemned. Because it's really looks like a nuisance right now.
Thank you. I'll jump in next. I don't think that the plywood is an acceptable solution at all, and I would like to see them install the storefront windows. I think that this is a real blight in the neighborhood, and I don't think that there is any excuse for having taken them out and then left it boarded up. So that would be my preference. Obviously, we'll go down and we'll see what the other board members think. If for some reason the board decides to accept the plywood as it is, I would like the board to identify the colors. I think that the color scheme could have been more appropriately selected than what was painted at the Arlington Heights Depot. And if that is the direction we're going, I would like to leave some of that direction up to the board. Shana?
So I do think it's unfortunate that they're not here. It would make a material difference to me to understand if they intended to restart work at some point in the foreseeable future. I think if they would be willing and able to do something interesting with the plywood, for example, engage with a high school arts class to get something fun painted on that plywood, I would be prepared to have them leave the plywood, but not as it is, unpainted and looking like an abandoned building.
Would you put a time requirement on their need to install the storefront windows? Because I think that that's...
Definitely.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Jean?
So who in the town has the authority to require them to meet the vacant storefront window requirements? Not us.
Director Ricker?
That is the purview of Ms. Luzai assesses those penalties.
Who does? I'm sorry, I missed.
Katie Luzai does,
Oh, she does?
yes.
And how much are the penalties?
They are, I think that there is some discussion about assessing the vacant storefront penalties on this property, given the issues. Now, the owner has been in pretty close contact with Katie regarding this, regarding the plywood. I'm very surprised that they are not here this evening. They have been advised several times that they needed to come and explain what is going on with them. But it's my understanding that vacant storefront fees are accumulating and will be, or if they haven't already been billed, they will be billed, especially, I think, in light of this meeting this evening.
Jean?
Thanks. I mean, it seems to me that's the first thing to do. Unless we reopen the special permit, we can't make them do anything. We can just talk about it, but we can't make them do anything without reopening the special permit, I don't think. So if we were to do that, I don't know whether putting in the storefront windows is the best idea or whether having somebody paint murals on the plywood is the best idea. I'd need to think that through more, but.
Steve?
Now, recalling Ms. Luzai's memo, believe she suggested the painting be done in conjunction with, I think, the Arlington Center for the Arts.
Correct.
Have they been contacted, and are they up for doing this?
I think That is an outstanding question. Again, I think once we sort of have a direction from the board this evening, which way we want to go, we will engage more completely with ACAC. Again, this would be at the owner's expense. You know, I know that ACAC, the public art curator, has been very interested in work in the Heights and in doing colorful installations. I don't see that necessarily being an issue. Is their desire to be involved in you know, fixing up the plywood?
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
Painting of the plywood will be involved in tenting the sidewalk and that area there so that you can actually paint it. It's dead of winter right now, and paint will not take in this weather. You put it on, but it's not.
Right.
It's not going to look good or last. It's not going to spread. It'll be like trying to paint with Jello.
I mean, they could, Frena could provide plywood to an artist to paint elsewhere and then hang it.
That's
I mean,
interesting.
Yes.
Means and methods are not
they
through
could
my
wrap it.
purview, but, or they could wrap it, or they could do whatever.
But what does the board think about my suggestion about adding lighting in the alcoves and the soffits there? Because right now, you walk there at night, it's dark.
So I do like Mr. Lau's suggestion. I mean,
I think you're going to get a cheap solution, and I think we approved them putting in the storefront, and that is one of the two options that's been presented by the Economic Development Coordinator. They have not said no to that, so I don't see why we wouldn't require them to move forward with that portion of the project, given that it is a blight in the Heights to have this boarded and the painting the plywood is not a desirable, it is a less poor solution.
I'm okay with the painting of the plywood with a couple of constraints. One is that we charge them, the vacant storefront fee until at least that is done. And second, we, after some period of time, if the windows are not installed, we reopen the permit hearing.
So reopening the permit hearing, their building permit is expired, correct?
Correct.
Their permit expires, their special permit expires when?
It was issued on August 28th, 2023. It would expire next year, 3 years.
Right. So,
Unless they got.
Although
the
this may be
COVID.
subject to the
Is this a
extension.
COVID?
Yeah, I don't know if they get the extension.
Yeah.
right, so we should confirm whether they get the extension. We don't need to, I don't believe we need to open, there is no enforcement mechanism that requires us to reopen the permit. If they've come to the Department of Planning and Community Development about how to bring this in compliance, we've already approved the storefront. I don't think that we would need to reopen the permit in order to require that they not leave a partially demolished structure as a negative impact for the town. But if the rest of the board members feel that just asking them to paint the plywood is sufficient, we can certainly move in that direction.
Well, I'd like to, it's like Ms. Corman Houston, the reasons, the underlying reasons would materially affect my thinking. Without the applicant here, I'm kind of inclined to maybe give them the benefit of the doubt, but also a deadline. And the deadline being the important part.
What would you propose as the deadline?
60 days.
That sounds reasonable to me.
Okay,
60 days to do what?
60 days to either paint it or install the windows. Actually, I would like to say 60 days to install the windows.
I would go a little, I would
Windows can,
I would like to go more than
storefront
that.
takes a
I
while.
go, they have to, in the next 2 weeks, cover that, the plywood up temporarily with paint or wrap, and come back with a plan for us to, with some sort of plan. Otherwise, they have to put the storefronts in. Because it's been almost 2.5 years since we gave them this approval, and they have done nothing with that in the 2.5 years.
I would prefer that we not approve a wrap, given, I think that that is something that can, especially with the wind in this area, become easily, it can easily become torn and would be as much of an eyesore as the plywood. They also don't have, I mean, it's not a straight substrate to put that on. I just think that would look messy. So again, I think, you know, if they, whether they have it painted and install new plywood that has been painted, again, I would, if they have to come back within 2 weeks and provide us with a timeline for installing the storefront, I would be, and it wouldn't be within 2 weeks, it would be our next meeting, which is January 12th. So if we want to require that they come back January 12th with a timeline within the next 60 to 90 days for installing the storefront, and in the meantime, paint the plywood, I would be amenable to that, if that's how we want to ask them to proceed.
Can I just ask Sarah a quick question?
Yep.
Sarah, did you talk to these guys this week?
Katie spoke with them last week, and I was under the impression that they should be here.
I agree.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not saying it's, you know, I just want to ask one more person, that's all. Okay, so,
So by the January 12th meeting, sorry, go ahead, Jean.
I mean, I think what we can ask the planning department to do is give them the sense of what the board would like to see. And if they do storefront windows and they have nothing behind them, they end up papering them over anyhow, which is not a great solution either. So I don't think there's a really good solution other than potentially pulling their permit if they don't start work on the project at some point, or put in the storefront windows. So I would say, I'm going to agree with you that they would need to come to our next meeting and come in with a plan with actual dates where they're going to install those storefront windows. And if they don't do that, then we can open the permit again. And meanwhile, I think the town should start finding them every day.
could we also ask them in the meantime?
As long, retroactively, as long as this has been, I mean, we should have, the town should have been finding them all along. This is really frustrating that we are not using the tools that we have
I'm
for
not sure
these
how
vacant
retroactive
storefronts.
the town can be if,
I think I'd like the town to look into that.
yeah.
I'd also,
Sorry.
sorry, I'd also like to hear from them when they come back, if they have a plan for moving forward on the rest of their, applying for a new building permit or renewing their building permit and moving forward with work. And what happened? What's going on?
Although we
Why
can't
aren't they
make them do the work since they have the permit extension,
That's right, they do have a permit extension.
at
I
least.
just checked that the 2-year COVID extension does apply to
Does
them.
apply.
But I would be curious to know what's going on.
Me
and
too.
When they're gonna get to work.
Could we add a requirement for adding some sort of temporary lighting in the alcoves? Because I don't know if you walk there at night, but I do. And it's,
I would not be in favor of asking them to install lighting. I think that we don't ask other businesses who don't have lighting incorporated in their storefronts to install lighting, and in fact, we tightly,
but in the alcoves, where there's basically 2 alcoves there right now, and it's a whole length of the building that's dark. And if we just had 2 lights there in each one of those alcoves, it gives a sense of security as you are in the center. I mean, one of the big things that came back from the survey we did, that people did not feel safe around the heights there. So I just want to continue that.
that might have been one comment.
Okay.
I don't, what do others think about the lighting?
I think it's not connected to the window issue, so I would not be in favor of it.
Okay.
Okay, so Claire, if we could ensure that the vacant storefront fees are being billed and confirm at our next meeting when that started, and ensure that that is continuing. We will ask them to return to our January 12th meeting. Before that time, they need to paint the plywood, and they need to, at that meeting, provide a timeline for installing the storefront within the next, so that it is complete within the next 60 to 90 days. If they are not able to do so, then we will reopen the special permit.
Understood.
Okay. All right, that closes agenda item number 2. We'll now move to agenda item number 3, which is the continued special permit hearing for docket number 1513, docket number 3869, 1513 to 1515, and 1517 to 1519 Mass Ave. And I see the applicant team here with us this evening. We'll pull one more chair for you over here and invite you to join us.
I can do it, don't worry.
Are you sure? Thank you. Great, thank you. Welcome back. And I appreciate you sending all of the revisions and the summary of the approach since our last meeting. I'll turn it over to Director Ricker first to update the board on the items that have been received since the last permit hearing. I'll turn it back over to you for anything that you might want to introduce to the board. The board will discuss. We'll open this for public comment, and then discuss whether or not we can take a vote on this evening. Okay? Great, thanks, Director Ricker.
Great, thank you. The planning memo related to this project shows several updated drawings and materials that have come in, along with the date provided. The applicant also provided several responses to comments from the meeting on November 5th. I think they were very thorough in their responses, and I'll leave it up to the board to further the conversation.
Great, thank you very much. And I will turn it over to the applicant. If you could please introduce yourselves for the record, and you could take up to 8 to 10 minutes to address the board.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us again tonight. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Director Ricker. For the record, my name is Matt Eckel. I'm an attorney with Fletcher Tilton on behalf of the applicants. So again, thank you for having us back in. As Director Ricker stated, we did submit a number of additional either updated materials or requested materials, including our response memo, a revised plan set and landscape plan, area calculation table, lighting plan, updated renderings, as well as some existing condition photos. Just out of curiosity, we obviously don't have a screen tonight. Do you guys all have the presentation on your computers?
We do.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
All right. I have one copy, so happy to walk through it and at least be somewhat oriented with you as you look through it, but obviously can't go through it page by page. But on a very high level, I'll just go through kind of a very general summary of the response memo, which hopefully touched upon all the areas. of either questions or concern or requests for updates that the board had. The first and maybe the most important was the size of the commercial space. We did reorient the whole first floor. We moved some parking around. We added some compact spaces, and the commercial space is now not only over 800 square feet, up from mid 500s, which it was the first time around. We also have about 15-foot floor to ceiling height. So we have a very prominent commercial space, both in terms of height, and we did increase the overall size. We think this hopefully meets the board's goals of kind of having a very distinguished area, separate and apart from the residential units above. And you can see that obviously in the rendering, which is on your cover page there. We also have some additional signage on the cover page of the presentation. We did show it with the street trees as they're not quite mature, but there was also a rendering that showed it without the trees just to get a better idea of the signage. Again, we're hoping to have signage above the windows and then on either door, the residential and the commercial door, just to provide very clear direction about where you should be going and depending on what use you're looking for. So we added signage to the renderings and the elevations. We showed the 7'6" fourth floor pullback. I think that was noted on the prior plans, but it was very small. So that's very noticeable now, which meets the guidelines within the ordinance. We've also now included a 4-foot barrier at the rear of the parking, and this, we believe, accomplishes two main goals. The first is for just general safety, since this is where cars will be pulling in, but the second is to minimize any light pollution. The 4-foot barrier should shield any headlights. We don't expect a lot of activity. There's only 15 parking spaces total, but at nighttime when people are pulling in, this should really minimize any light pollution onto the bikeway. We also have added several design updates, including bands to the building, as well as we introduced the new ground level material, which really, again, separates that first floor from the second through fourth floors above, and then the bands further kind of distinguish those floors between each other and break up the facade and the massing of the building, especially from the sides, but we did carry that around to the front and the rear of the building. As mentioned, we now have 3 proposed compact spaces, which is within the guidelines of what the board can grant us. I would request for the record that that the board considers that as a special permit, as I believe you have to grant the special permit to allow for that. So that is a change from our last hearing when we were proposing all full-size spaces. So we would hope if the board does decide to take action tonight that they could grant that special permit. Finally, we located the approximate location of columns within the garage floor plan, just to show, you know, everything's not quite finalized yet in terms of the structural, but we did show some forward thinking there to accomplish that goal to actually get this building built in the future. So those are really the key updates. I'm happy again to go through our presentation in totality a little bit further, but as you all saw it last month, and hopefully those changes in the response memo really outline the changes. I can also pause now and we can take any questions or comments the board may have.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. I appreciate you walking us through that. So we'll turn it over to the board for any questions or comments, and I'll start with Steve.
Thank you. So yes, I want to say thanks for the thorough responses. I think you checked off everything that we pretty much asked you for at the last hearing, and I do appreciate that. I also thank you for including the rendering from the bikeway. I thought that looks, I thought it looked good. So I appreciate that. Now, about the commercial space, I think last time we started at about 575 square feet, and you've gotten it up to 815-ish. Now, the prior iteration was somewhere around 960 square feet. Now, in the garage, you are, it looks like you're providing a 24-foot drive aisle, which is the standard in the bylaw. Something to throw out for your consideration and for my colleagues' consideration is if you were to potentially ask for relief on the drive aisle requirement, say to go to 20 feet instead of 24, for the purpose of moving that rear wall backward rear wall in the commercial space, it looks like it would add about 170 square feet and get you, basically it would make it bigger than the original proposal. So I just wanted to toss that out as an idea for consideration. And yes, that's all I have for now, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you very much. Jean?
I mean, I agree with my colleague. You did pretty much everything I think that we asked you to do. I just have two questions related to parking. One is, so you have the full spaces as 9 feet wide by 18 feet, but really they can be 8.5 by 18. They don't have to be 9. So you could save a little room that way. The big issue I have, and I didn't notice it last time because there were so many other things going on, I believe that the drive aisle, what you call the driveway, needs to be, and my colleagues are welcome to tell me I've gotten this wrong, I believe it needs to be 24 feet and not 12 feet wide. 6.1.11C3 is, in the case of two-way traffic, access to an aisle or driveway have a minimum width of 24 feet, and you're having two-way traffic coming here. Now this, technically, if you were to read our bylaw, a driveway is open to the sky, so this is really a drive aisle because it's not open to the sky. So I believe it has to be a minimum of 24 feet wide, which I didn't notice last time. So I leave that to my colleagues, but the reason that that's in the bylaw for two-way traffic is if you have one car pulling in and another car pulling out, somebody might have to back out onto Mass Ave, not a really good idea. So I think that's the only issue I really have, is that.
Great, thank you, Jean. Shayna?
Thank you. I echo my colleagues. I appreciate your thorough response to our comments before. In addition to what they've mentioned, I'd just ask, the short-term bike parking, have you spoken with DPW about putting visitor bike parking in the public way?
We have not yet, no.
Okay, I think you may need DPW to sign off on that. So just flagging that, and I do think Steve's idea about the commercial space is an interesting one and worth taking a look at.
Great, thank you. Ken?
Thank you for making those changes. I'm in agreement with Steve. I think I'd be okay with reducing the drive lane from 24 to 22, as many other towns and cities have the drive lane a little less aggressive. Also, you should show your stairs on the first floor not going into the drive lane. I know that stair is going up, so I'm assuming after the landing, there's space underneath it. You should show that dashed in, so it's actually a clear turning space. It's not as constrained as you show it there. Okay, that might help relieve Gene of some of his concerns, but still, it's still pretty narrow. I want to address what you did on the elevations. Your rear elevation toward the bike path. It looks excellent. I think what you guys did is a good job. Your front elevation toward Mass Ave, I still have strong issues for on the 4th floor. Okay. If you look at your rear elevation,
Sorry, just so I'm clear, you're talking about the front or the rear elevation on the 4th floor?
the front elevation on the 4th floor.
Great, thank you.
The elevation on the rear, it shows somewhat symmetrical and it lines up everything. And the roof lines fall within the massing of the building. But when you look at the front elevation, your roof lines do not fall, and the windows are directly underneath the edge of the middle roof. I have strong concerns about that, okay, how it looks. It doesn't look right.
It's just the internal layouts. We changed, I don't know if you noticed from the previous set, we played around with these windows. We minimized them, we shrunk them. We tried to do even bands that you were talking about going up and down. It's just the interior layouts of the units get really funky if we start moving the windows to align with the roof lines. That's just my comment with it.
You talk to your architect,
We did.
and you either make the awning up there line up better by either making it a little wider or smaller, or recessing it back so you don't see it that way. So all it is, maybe it's just a roof going all the way across, turned the other way. And then it doesn't really matter where the like a hip roof, at that end. So it doesn't really matter where that stuff lands. Okay? But right now, it looks really awkward. Okay? My biggest concern right now, that I find very hard to approve right now, is the location of your transformer. Right now, you call it a transformer room. But in reality, it's a transformer bolt, because it's inside the building. When it's a transformer bolt, okay, the utilities will require ventilation for the transformer. So right now, you show no ventilation at all on any of the exterior walls for that, into that bolt. Okay, all you show is solid walls. So that can't be. So you have to show some sort of, first of all, you have to check with the utility company, will they allow you to stick a transformer underneath the building?
They did address that in their letter.
And they said it's okay to stick it in there?
Yes,
And they don't need ventilation?
we followed the specs that they provided from the mechanical engineers and Zaid Engineering about having vaults inside the building. So it's not underground, it's sitting, that's why the ceiling is 15 feet, because you have to have a certain clearance.
Yes, you need a crane to get it below.
There's certain clearance on each side and back and forth, so we followed that instructions. There is still a chance once we get going that actual Eversource, they might say they'll be able to put a transformer on a pole. Right now, we've been advised that based on the size of the building, the number of units, the mechanical engineer recommends to have inside the building because that's what they've been seeing happening. But if this, once we get to kind of down the line, and once we have the building approved, all the permits and applied to Eversource, they will still have all the guidelines to tell us if we need to have a vent to a certain size, we'll of course install it. But that information is not available until we know what equipment is being installed for a transformer at this point.
Okay, with that said, okay, if you require louvers and vents in that corner of the building, which is very predominant to the street and where everything is, I'm going to ask you to come back, well, my opinion, okay, I don't know what the rest of the board is, ask you to come back and tell us that you have to change what was approved today, if we do approve it today, on those solid walls, okay? I believe, I worked with Zaid before in the past. I know Mohammed and Muzzy really well. I think you need two means of egress from the transformer vault. You need ventilation, and I'm just concerned that when you put in all that requirements that Eversource is going to ask you for, it's going to change the outside of that window, of that corner of the building dramatically. And I just want to put a note saying that if that happens, you have to come back to us and say, because of requirements from the utility service, we have to change this and come back with a new design. Okay, my suggestion to you is to flip it and see if that transformer room can be flipped to the bicycle room way back in the other corner there. And then you can have access, you have much clearer access to the bicycle, and the transformer's in the back, and you can leave that open. And it's not as Because right now, it's a dark corner. It's a walled corner. And
Unfortunately, you have to have access for them to bring it in and service it, so it has to be reachable within the, like, somewhere how they can access. We'd love to put it in the back and not worry about it or open space, but given the footprint of the building, there's no, they said there's no way to put it in a driveway because of, we have a building above it.
So you're saying that the front wall of the building is removable?
At least they can access it from when they drop it off, they can bring it in through the, whatever tools, machinery, they won't be able to bring it in once the building is built because there's no access to get around the building. That's what they recommended. We're more than happy. Again, we don't even know 100% that once Eversource looks at all the loads and they come up with their calculations, will they even require us to put it inside? This was just in case plan for it.
If I'm a betting man, they're gonna require it because everything's electric in this building, the size of the building. It's gonna be a pad-mounted transformer. But the way you have it right now, I don't see how you can get that transformer in. You guys gonna push it in through the double doors? That's how you guys expect to do it? So why couldn't you do that?
Look, we hired Zaid, we called Eversource. We're trying really hard to answer all these questions, but.
You may need
I
to
feel-
call a contractor, you know, again, because to Ken's point, there's a lot of unknowns here which create a potentially significant aesthetic impact on this important
But I agree
corner.
with you, if we find out that there's changes and we need to put these vents, I'm perfectly fine coming back to you guys and showing what they've requested, and hopefully we can.
I don't want vents there,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
the problem
saying.
is it's too late then.
'Cause I don't,
right?
I don't want vents there. I'd rather you see if you can work it out right now and get the transformer in the back there. And you're saying there's no real way to get there. It's gonna be the same fashion how they're gonna get into this room up here. They're gonna drop it on some sort of pallet and use a forklift to slide it in. Same as,
I'm not arguing with you, it's just, this is what we are being told by the
Okay.
professionals we're hiring. We're happy to go back to them and see if we can readjust it and see if we can put it in the back, but we didn't want this in the front of our building as well. Believe me.
well, I'm in agreement with you here, okay?
So we tried everything, every aspect
Okay.
with them to try to massage this, however, and this was, by their profession, this was the best possible to do this project.
I'm just asking you right now to push a little harder, okay?
Sure.
You know, I just see this being a huge sticking point right now. You've done great things to this building right now, and I really like it. Just if you can address these two issues, I'd be extremely happy, okay? You know, that transformer location and how you want to do the massing on the 4th floor along Mass Ave. Everything else is just minor tweaks, and I think we can work that out, okay? Because I'm not, those are the two things that's really holding me back from saying I can approve this project. I just can't see myself approving it right now with that hanging in, because there's too many unknowns in that corner. And you know, if you can ask me to put louvers back there, it's not gonna look nice there, having that whole corner full of louvers. Or how you're gonna make that a removable panel so they can slide the transformer in. Because right now, they're gonna have to do it through the pair of doors with a forklift or a pallet jack. Well, you can do that same way in the back. So that's why I'm pushing back, okay? I just don't see, I can't see right now, I don't know what my rest of my board members feel like, but I can't see approving this project right now with that location of the transformer room right there.
Thanks, Ken. So I just have a couple of additional comments and questions, mostly regarding the revisions at the ground floor, and a couple on the side elevation. So I may have missed it. Did you identify what the ground floor, the facade material is? I saw it, all of the other materials, but I didn't, I think this is different than what you showed us last time, and it looks like a cementitious panel.
It's a material we discussed last time. It's architectural hardy panel boards in sand texture, which are comprimed, and we would be painting it in dark gray.
Okay. I'm still struggling a bit. I really like I like the upper 3 floors. I do have concerns, as Ken does, with the roof line. I think the rear elevation is far superior, quite frankly, to the front elevation. I think you're very close. And to Ken's point, I would also like you to look at the roof lines. I think I'm struggling a bit with the hierarchy between, the ground floor reads like a parking plinth, the dark, larger materials. I think that to what Ken suggested, there's a way to break this building down into, much like again into the rear, into these volumes, which I think will help address what Ken is looking for, those three volumes, and may help with some of the heaviness at the base. I also wanted to ask, the glazing at the office, is that clear glazing, or you're looking at a tinted spandrel glass? I wanted to confirm that the intent was clear glazing.
Talking about the window glass?
The window, the plate glass, the storefront glass, is that intended to be clear?
Clear, yeah.
Okay, great. It just doesn't read that way in the rendering, so I wanted to ask and confirm. I think that if you ask your architect to take another look at those large square panels and, use some of the materials and the language that you have above, or look at a precast material or something like that, it just feels really heavy. I do like the changes you made to the storefront itself. I think that is, reading much more like a commercial space now. I appreciate that. The other question I have is about the projection of the windows. I believe on the front and the rear, you're showing, there's no section, but I believe that you're showing that the windows and the framing protrude from the facade a certain distance. I don't know how many inches those protrude. I like that detail. I think it gives some dimension and some shadow. But if you could let us know specifically what that is, and does that happen on the side elevations? It doesn't appear so on the rendering, but I would just like to know, is that they look like they're recessed as opposed to proud of the facade? Again, I don't want to interpret something incorrectly on the rendering, so if you could confirm that, that would be helpful. Those were the only questions that I had. Anything else before we open this for public comment? All right. Is there anyone who has joined us this evening who would like to address the board on this project? Okay. Seeing no, we will close public comment and turn the discussion back to the board. Let us first move to Jean's, the item that Jean brought up regarding the interpretation of Jean. I believe this was 6.1.11C3.
Correct.
The driveway aisle, and whether that section of the bylaw requires a 24-foot drive aisle as well as driveway access. And if so, if there is a finding based on the configuration of the project that the board would be comfortable making. Otherwise, we need to give the applicant some direction on this item. Steve?
Well, I just want to note that an 11-foot wide road is a highway. And I suspect the traffic moving in and out of the driveway to the parking garage will be much more subdued. A residential road, you can have, I believe, 9-foot lanes. So I do think I do think there's a reduction from 24 feet is not an unreasonable thing.
Thank you, Steve. Shayna?
I wonder if, I think Jean's point about backing out onto Mass Ave is well taken, and I wonder if those mechanisms where you'll get a flashing light when someone starts to pull out of the
Enter and
driveway.
exit indicator?
That's right. If that would address that concern.
I would agree. I think, I read this as or, and you have the aisle, so a 24-foot driveway would not be required. I think that the driveway is sized appropriately, but I agree with Shayna in other areas where there are larger parking areas, we have asked that an indicator, a motion indicator be included. Ken?
I will agree with you guys. I think traffic mitigation would be great, and I'll be okay with that. There'll be some sort of sign on either side of the driveway, and there will be on motion sensors saying cars exiting or cars entering. And so depends on how far the car is in the driveway. That, I mean, it's only residents, so it's not a commercial, so I'm more comfortable granting this relief. And just having some sort of motion sensor with a sign saying cars exiting, so the guy can wait out in the street for the light to go off or the car to come out. And the guy pulling into the driveway will have the same thing. And I would show the stairs on the first floor plan being up in the air, so it's not as dark and not as, you can see it around the corner better. It's not quite as long as you show it there. It's much shorter, and it shows a much wider radius to the end there. I think having those two traffic signs there will work fine.
Jean?
I think I'm the only one reading 6.1.11C3 correctly. It has two parts. One part is if it's two-way traffic, direct access to an aisle or driveway having a minimum width of 24 feet in the case of two-way traffic. Or the following if it's one-way traffic only. So the or differentiates between two-way traffic and one-way traffic. This is two-way traffic. I agree with Steve that 24 is a lot, and probably it can be reduced to maybe 20, but I wouldn't go with what you're suggesting because I think it's not what the zoning bylaw had in mind, and I don't think people always obey those car entering, car leaving sort of things.
Okay. It sounds like do any of the other, it sounds like the other members of the board are comfortable with the 12-foot drive aisle as proposed, Steve, correct?
I am, yeah.
Okay. And Ken and Shayna?
Along as there's traffic mitigation.
With traffic
Yes.
mitigation, okay. So that driveway does not need to be improved per the other members of the board, although, Jean does have a concern, which is something that you should note. The sizing of the, Steve, you had just brought up the sizing of the commercial space and an opportunity to increase. Could you run through that again so that we can discuss that?
Right, so within the parking area, there's 15 spaces and in 2 rows. And the sheet A102 shows a 24 feet span between the rows, so a 24-foot drive aisle. Given that these are residential, space, these will be residential spaces, just people in the building, it's not open to the general public. My suggestion was to narrow the width of that drive aisle for the purpose of moving the rear wall of the commercial space back in order to provide additional square footage.
Does the applicant have any concerns with that? And I'll turn it over to the board as to whether or not they would be amenable to that suggestion as well.
I think in general, I think it's a good idea and something we're amenable to. The one thing we'd have to look at is perhaps space 6 and 7, where they come to a 90-degree angle. We would have to make sure they both still work.
Great.
And I don't know if that would have to be a little bit of a jogged out, maybe 6 stays where it is and the rest of them bump out. I mean, we're happy to look at it, but in theory, the reduction, I know a lot of drive aisles and back out zones in other municipalities is 20. So we're certainly, I think, comfortable with that. We just need to make sure we don't lose any spaces.
Great, thank you. Ken, do you have any concerns with Steve's suggestion?
I would push for 22, not 20.
I think that's what, Steve, your suggestion was, 22?
I had suggested 20.
Oh,
But,
okay.
but, you know, that was a stake in the ground. I'll just say, I'm suggesting something smaller than 24, and it could be 22 as well.
And with one additional stipulation, saying that we'll add another stipulation that tenants cannot store stuff in front of their cars. I've been into many parking garages where someone rents a parking space, they store stuff in front of their car space. You know, like boxes and bicycles, and that pushes the car further out into the drive lane. So if we were going to reduce the drive lane, then we're to put a stipulation that you can't store stuff in front of your car. I know you can't already, but I just want to re-stipulate that, because I've been to too many housing projects where you see, strollers and golf clubs and Christmas boxes there, long-term storage.
This one's open, don't forget.
I know.
Okay.
I've
All
done
right.
it.
Well,
I've seen it.
duly noted.
We're
Sheena,
certainly amenable to that stipulation. I don't,
Sheena? Concerns or agreement?
Yeah, I think narrowing the drive aisle by some amount in the 2 to 4 foot range makes a lot of sense, and looking forward to what the applicant can come up with.
Jean?
This came up a couple of weeks ago in a different project, and it sort of made sense to me. And a couple of days later, I drove out to Burlington Mall, and the space next to me was with a honking big pickup truck that couldn't possibly make this turn. And it sort of raises an issue, which is, cars, some cars are getting smaller, but other people are buying these huge pickup truck type of things, and it's hard to know what people are going to be pulling in here. That said, I'd be okay with a couple feet
22?
off, but I think if we're going to do this, we should also expect to put a warrant article into this year's town meeting to change this from 24 feet to 22 feet, because I'm not sure we technically have the ability to do this, because we're only doing it so they can increase the commercial space, and I'm not sure that's an appropriate way to do it. So if we want to do this, I suggest we also put in a warrant article.
Okay. So it sounds like 22 feet seems to be the consensus there. Are there any concerns with the applicant's proposal for the 20% compact spaces? Because that is a finding we would need to have. Steve, no issues?
No issues.
Jean?
I'm fine with approving that.
Sheena?
No issues.
Ken?
No issues.
Okay. I know this is tedious. Unfortunately, this is the way we have to run through this. Okay. Let's see. The next item was the facade. So Ken and I have asked them to take another look at the ground floor Mass Ave articulation, as well as the front facade on the 4th floor. Shayna, any discussion or thoughts on those two areas?
No, I think the feedback from the two of you made a lot of sense to me.
Great. Jean?
Yeah, I have nothing to say about it.
Steve?
I concur with Ms. Corman-Houston.
Okay. And then the last item was to, confirm with your engineers, your builder, et cetera, about the location of the transformer vault. Again, it would be a real issue if it came back that corner needed to be changed to add a significant number of louvers to that space. So let's see if there's any other opportunity to move that to a different part of the building, or to see if we can get any confirmation about the venting required. Let's see,
Can I
those,
just say one?
yes, please, of course.
If you look at the roof plan, your roof plan, when it gets to the, to like along Mass Ave, it dog bones out, you know, it comes out wider. So I'm assuming those two little wings can be adjusted one way or the other a little bit, so that it would fall in line with the windows below it. That's all, that's a major step. Or turning into a, turning that into a hip roof, or something like that, further back, and then it'll just, I'm just thinking of ways to help you. I'm not trying to, I like this project. I want this project to go ahead. I just don't want that there looking that way, if that makes sense. Just have your architect look at it.
Sure.
Great,
Sorry.
no problem.
And Madam Chair, just for clarity's sake, when you mentioned the front, are you just talking about the right corner where we're proposing to have the transformer vault? Is that the only visual impact that you're seeing? The other side's open air, then we have the large commercial windows, or do you also have a
Yes,
problem with the
yes.
windows or something
Nope,
else?
the windows were fine. You know, it's really that heavy corner where the vault is and where it, the side there. So if we can do anything to lighten that, that would be great.
You have two entrance vestibules on the first floor, one for the resident, one for the commercial space. It's like 10 feet deep. Is there any way of shallowing that up a little bit, maybe taking a couple of feet off of that? Maybe making that 7 feet deep or something like that, such that, you know, just moving that wall down a little bit more. It would just make, it will make that entryway less dark and less of a hallway in. It's more, it'll make it more like an entry.
I think the original design, Ken, was just because we have the transformer room doors that kind of open up into there, and we wanted to keep it symmetrical. We can certainly look if something happens with that transformer room, maybe there's a domino effect, but that's kind of where we started,
Okay,
because otherwise the doors would open up into the wall.
fair enough, but I'm just,
We'll certainly look at it, but
just seeing that as a, you know, a long dark hallway into the entry, it's just not as, if it was more out toward the street, it'll be, it'll feel better.
Great. Super. So we would, I assume, need to continue this to a next hearing date. And our two dates in January are January 12th and I believe January 26th. So do you have a preference on the date when you would like to return?
January
12th.
12th. is-
Do we have room on that schedule, the 12th?
We have 9 to 11 Robbins Road is returning, and 126 Broadway is returning on the 12th, as well as several, a
have
discussion of
Christian
several
Klein, I know,
warrant
coming.
articles, correct.
Okay.
I think the 26th is
So it looks
more
like the
likely.
26th is the next meeting where we have availability. So,
Okay,
yes,
I think some of the changes here are small enough. I'm willing to come up a little earlier, just like today, coming at 7, to see that we can fit them in, seeing that they're making a good faith effort, to make changes and listen to us.
so what else do we have? So we have three, this will be our fourth hearing on that night, plus we have all of our ZBA, plus the redevelopment board needs to talk about, what is our only
Correct.
night to talk about our own
Your warrant articles.
I just don't see
Okay,
there's any way that we
I'm
can,
just
we can do it.
trying to help these guys out.
I
so.
understand, we're just, we're
Up
booked.
against it.
Okay,
Okay, so is there a motion to continue this hearing for docket number 3869 to the evening of January 26th?
so motioned.
Second.
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve,
Yes.
Jean.
Yes.
Shayna,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. Thank you very much. We'll see you back on the 26th.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda is the public hearing for docket number 3866, 18 Grafton Street. I'm going to invite the applicants to join us at the front. I will turn it over to Director Ricker to introduce this project.
Great, thank you. Regarding 18 Grafton Street, they submitted several updated drawings. It looks like they have rescoped the project a bit. In response to comments from the ARB on November 5th, the applicant has amended their initial proposal and now proposes to demolish the existing single-family residence to construct a new multifamily building with 1 3-bedroom unit and 4 1-bedroom units. The applicant also proposes a driveway with 3 vehicle parking spaces, which could be reduced to 2 if needed to accommodate an ADA access aisle, and a storage shed with parking for 10 bicycles. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So I'd love to turn it over to the applicant. If you could introduce yourself again for the record, you can have some time to address the board to discuss the changes that you've made since the last time you visited us, and then we'll turn it over to the board for discussion.
Sure. My name is Lucas Carbia.
Albert Ozatians. Stefan Bilhars.
Great, thank you.
So, yes, we changed the building. We reduced the number of units from 6 to 5. In the first floor, we had to accommodate a Group 1 ADA unit. That made it very difficult to generate more units in the first floor because obviously all the clearances needed and the size of the bathroom, the size of the kitchen, all that. We also, with this new design, we addressed some things that were mentioned in the last meeting. For example, trash locations, snow removal, the bicycle parking locations too. I seem to had the notes about window well locations also in relationship to HVAC. And basically with this reduction of units, we have achieved what our clients wanted to. And the main change to the building regarding the side was that we adjusted everything in between the setbacks, which obviously reduced the square footage and therefore the number of units as well. In terms of looks of the building, it also varied. Obviously, we had a mansard roof before. We kind of have to scratch that idea in order to generate the upper floor units because it's complicated enough with mansard roofs and dormers to actually achieve all the egress windows that those units will require. So now we have more like a triple decker style that you can see in the pictures over there. In terms of materials, we are still using the same materials that we were planning on using before, composite siding in red and cream. We added some bands of octagonal siding as well. And then we, like I said, we address a lot of things in the site plan as well.
Great, thank you very much.
No worries.
I appreciate the thorough package on the update, and I will turn it over to Ken to start the discussion.
Well, your original project was quite handsome, and sorry it couldn't fit in there. Well, nothing we can do about that. This new building is very similar. It's quite handsome too. So I congratulate you on that, maintaining the quality, style, and design. I only have a couple of questions. Site plan, and right now, if you continue the front yard setback at 15 feet, it clips the corner of the car. Okay?
Yeah.
And according to zoning, parking spaces cannot be shown in the front yard setback. So you're gonna have to push that car up into this snow storage area such that it does not align with that front yard setback. That's just, that's just zoning. There's nothing I can do about that, okay?
Yeah.
The way you show your trash area right now, so because it's 5 units, you're gonna have to hire your own trash service, or the city's picking it up?
Where's the trash area on this one?
Here.
We were, given that it's 5 units and everyone's gonna have, that's a lot of barrels to be on the street, so most likely we'll have to do a private service. One of those pickup and removal.
With a dumper.
with
Okay.
service.
So, I was hoping if you can come out with some, a way of fitting another car there, or 2 cars there. Because right now, you have 2 cars for 5 units. And that's kind of tight. If you had 3 cars, I would be okay with that. With the potential of only having 2 cars if one becomes a handicap unit, if needed to be, okay?
The way we have it designed here, and it's not shown this way, but we could park 2 cars side by side and then 1 car further up past the snow storage. So we could technically fit 3 cars in this plan. We just don't show it that way because we show the accessible parking spots.
Well,
Yeah, but if we have to push the car back, then we're gonna be able to fit 2.
but show it. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, saying your intent is to have 3 parking spaces for the 5 units, okay? And say, if a handicapped person needs to rent one of the units, then you only have 2 spots, okay? And that's fine, and I'm okay with that, but show the 3 spots. So it's 3 parking spots, not 1 or 2. Just show the 3 spots. And the front 2 spots cannot be in the front yard setback.
Correct.
Then I'm assuming the ramp that's going to the front porch there, that's only if, will only be added if someone rents the first unit as a handicap, right? Otherwise, it won't be there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you just indicate that it's that way there?
Okay.
We can add it.
That's all I had. I think if you could make those changes, I'd be amenable for this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shana?
Thank you, and thank you for the clarification about the parking spaces. That covers most of my questions. My one remaining question is that on the landscape plan, you note that you're going to defer to the abutter on the eastern side of the property about fence or trees. And I'd just say we need something in our decision. So and I think we can do that as administrative, but we do need to have something in our decision clarifying what that's going to be one way or another. I think it's wonderful that you're speaking to your neighbors. We just have to specify what that's going to be.
At the last meeting, we had several butters here that we had discussions regarding trees and fencing.
Yep.
I figured having that, we do show, I believe we show a fence along that property
We
line.
do, yes.
Yep.
But just put a note in there that we would, have a conversation with our neighbors as to what kind of fence, or if they want trees or brushes, but I understand what you're saying, you need something in the decision, got it.
Okay, great. And so, great. And that's all I had apart from the parking, and I appreciate such an attractive project.
Thank you very much. Jean?
Yeah, thank you for the changes that you made. I had the same questions about parking. I didn't see where they were. I didn't see what the dimensions of the parking spaces are. And if we look at your revised dimensional and parking information, indicated there's only going to be 1 parking space. So they didn't they don't add up right. So I think I would like to see where the parking spaces are and the dimensions of the parking spaces. What's the size of the patio in back? And how far is it from the back fence? I didn't see that on
So
the
from the
plan.
back fence is 10 feet.
Okay,
The size of the patio is 10 by between 17 and 20.
okay.
I know by regulation there's a patio limit of
That's
10
what I-
feet
that's what I
from,
was asking,
from
yeah.
the
Okay.
side, so we follow that regulation.
The only other thing I have, and this is for the board, is under 6.1.10A, 1E, there needs to be a
6.1.
vegetated buffer.
10, 1E, thank you.
We can alter that by special permit if we want to. They're just proposing a little grass strip and then I guess a fence, 6-foot tall
Yes.
fence. So we may, and if we intend to approve this, we will have to alter the buffer in the special permit to do what they're proposing to do instead. That's all I have.
Great, thank you. Steve?
Yep. First, I'd like to say that I understand that the curvature of the front lot line was a challenge, but I think I commend you on the way you've handled it. My opinion, it's a nice looking triple decker. So
Thanks.
kudos for that. In order to get a parking reduction, one of the things we will need a transportation demand management plan. It's section, I think, 6.1.5, but it's basically a set of, there's a list of measures, and you provide 3 of them in exchange for,
Yeah, we have one.
That was an oversight. We sent it in today.
so that's why I haven't seen it.
We have
Surprise,
copies
sure.
here. I only made 3, but if you want to have it. For
Well,
next
could you
meeting-
just name the three TD transportation demand elements or strategies that you plan to use?
Yes. So we have 2 actually transportation demand management measurements, which is it meets the minimum requirement. One is basic parking and storage, and e-bike charging infrastructure. Also, just to know how close we are from the transportation lines too.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was one of the things that is another potential option, and we'd have to discuss it as a board. There is a provision that allows excess long-term bicycle parking to count. And since you have a requirement for 8 spaces, you're providing 10, 2 extra spaces, happens. I would personally be okay with that, because you're providing the number of extra bicycle spaces is, at least as large as the number of vehicle parking spaces that you'd like to reduce. But okay, thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Can I just ask?
Yes, Jean.
Repeat, what are the 2 transportation demand management plans that you put forward?
Sorry, we put bicycle parking and storage, which happens in the rear shed that we have.
Did you say that was that you had e-bike charging in that?
We
Yes.
have e-bikes charging there too.
So that's it, just
Yeah.
bicycle storage and e-bike charging?
There was one other, and you also said transportation proximity?
We have transportation information and resident education too.
So this is, probably close enough to Mass Ave to qualify for proximity to, a bus, basically the 77, and
We are 0.1 miles from the bus, Route 77, and 1 mile from Otherwise Station, the red line.
Yeah, so they have the e-bike charging, and they have the
Proximity to the bus
the
line.
location, and they only need, well, they only need 2 TDM methods because they have fewer than 10 spaces.
Correct.
So
Great.
they're okay.
Yep. Great.
I do have a question. As
Yes.
far as the parking goes, Arlington recently passed an overnight permit parking. Does that help us in any way in your decision as a potential parking spots for our project?
Here's the challenge with the way that overnight parking was passed. It's still I believe it's still technically a pilot program, correct?
It was real.
Is it fully?
made it permanent.
Yeah, yeah. So, it does not, it is a measure that is available in town, but it is not a transportation demand management plan. And it is something that needs to be applied for by the individual residents.
I think if I remember correctly, I haven't looked at it for a while, each building gets one,
I thought it
Two.
was two.
two?
Two.
Okay, two,
Right, so,
okay, thank
so it's
you.
it's a bit of a challenge for us as a board, because there is no way that we can understand how that is adjudicated in multifamily
Got it.
properties, you know, who gets to take advantage of that? If it were unlimited, then absolutely, that would be something that would be a significant factor that this board could take into account.
Okay.
Are
I
these-
think our
are
board is
these-
okay with you showing 3, as long as you show the 3,
The parking spaces,
okay?
yes.
So you're okay there. I'm not asking you
Oh, I
to
was
create stuff,
Got it.
Are
okay?
these rental or condos? I
These are
forgot.
gonna be most likely rentals.
Rentals.
Great. Thank you. Any other comments from the board before we open this for public comment? Great. So we'll now open this for public comment. So if anyone joining us this evening would like to speak, please let us know. Okay, we'll close public comment and move to a discussion. So the items that I have on this docket are adding some additional dimensions such that the foremost parking spot is clearly set behind the front setback, to show the 3 parking spaces and their dimensions. We've verbally heard your TDM plan, but to officially submit that, which it sounds like you did today. We've confirmed that the ramp will only be added if necessary by the unit being rented by a renter who requires it to be ADA accessible, and you also confirmed the intent for the eastern side of the landscape plan. And Jean, you brought up that we would need to provide relief for section 1.10.1E, the vegetated buffer, per the bylaw.
Yeah, you know, one thing I forgot to mention, it came up last time, which is the shed, which is in the setback, and it's larger than allowed, so the real question was whether they
Right,
were
are
gonna
you
are
reusing?
reusing the garage.
We're
and what's-
keeping the existing structure that's there, and we're taking the walls in a bit. So it's currently longer than what we're proposing, so we're basically gonna demolish it back to where it needs to be for the requirements, for the size requirements that we're showing.
So it will be a partial demolition.
It would be a partial demolition.
And what will be left standing before you put the new things in?
The 3 walls,
3 walls.
side wall, the 2 side walls in the back.
Okay, we might want to make that a condition also.
Okay. So, board members, would you like to see the applicant come back with those parking space dimensions? Or would you want to motion that that be approved administratively?
I'm okay administratively.
So am I.
Jean?
Me too, provided that the dimensions of the spaces are consistent with the bylaws.
Let's I assume they're gonna,
I know, but
Well, and I think that would be, we would rely on the Department of Planning and Community Development to confirm that. And if
Confirm that.
you do not meet the requirements of the bylaws for the size, then we will need to reopen and you'll need to come back in front of the board. So do we
And-
feel confident that those parking spaces meet the requirements of the bylaws?
You think so? Yeah, it should.
So, yeah, I mean, we have to check, obviously, because now we have to push that parking back, right? to-
Right, and you have that snow removal area, so you
Yeah,
do
so
have,
we will
space
make
there,
it
so-
work. That's
okay.
make it work.
okay. Steve?
I am fine with administrative approval on the remaining items.
Okay, so let's craft a motion.
just one other question.
Sorry.
None of those spaces are going to be compact spaces?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
If they do become compact
And-
spaces,
yeah.
we would need to reopen the special permit because we would need to make a finding to allow a percentage of your parking spaces to be compact spaces.
We have.
No.
Actually, we
No,
couldn't
no,
because there's more.
No. They can do it without our approval because this is MBTA.
Correct.
zone.
Thank you very much. I was
They
still
don't
thinking
need our-
special permit. I
They don't need
appreciate
our
that.
approval for that.
Thank you, Jean. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the site plan review for docket 3866 18 Grafton Street with the finding that the, or with the special conditions that the parking, that the 3 parking spaces, that the parking plan be provided to the Department of Planning and Community Development for administrative approval to confirm that the 3 parking spaces meet the dimensional requirements of the zoning bylaw, and that the foremost parking space sits behind the front setback, that the transportation demand management plan be provided that includes e-bike charging within the bicycle parking structure, and confirms the proximity to public transportation. That
Proximity to the 77 bus stop.
Thank you, we can be specific about that. That the ramp as shown in the site plan will only be added if necessary based on ADA requirements from a renter. And that 3 of the 4 sides of the 3 of the 4 walls of the existing structure of the shed on the property be retained.
And that under 6.1.10 A1E, we allow them to not have the required buffer, but instead have a 1-foot grass buffer, and is it a 6-foot tall fence?
6 foot tall.
And 6-foot tall fence on the side with the parking.
Okay? Are there any other special conditions that need to be captured? Steve?
Quick question. Would you call the thing in the rear left side a garage or a shed? I thought it was a garage.
I'd call it a garage, because
Okay.
it's an existing garage.
So we may want to say garage
We'll
instead of-
we'll amend that special condition, that 3 walls of the existing structure of the garage are retained in the modification to the bicycle parking structure. Thank you, Steve. Are there any other special conditions? Would someone like to make a motion?
so motioned.
I'll second.
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
Shayna?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Congratulations, thank you so much.
You'll get
Look
something
forward.
in the mail in some number of weeks.
Great,
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, thank you.
thank you.
Nice project.
Thank you.
I'll do that.
Thank you. That now closes the public hearing for docket number 3866 for 18 Grafton Street. We'll now move to the public hearing for docket number 3879, 26 Dudley Street, and I will turn it over to Director Ricker.
Great, thank you. 26 Dudley Street. The applicant proposes to redevelop the property as an approximately 13,500 square foot mixed-use building with office, light industrial, and storage in the industrial district. Mixed use is allowed in the industrial district by special permit. The applicant is also requesting to change, extend, or alter the pre-existing non-conforming structure and use on the property per section 8.1.1.a of the zoning bylaw. So the applicant proposes to demolish a deteriorated garage storage shed in the rear yard and expand a 3-story commercial and industrial building by adding new amenities such as an elevator and a single-story warehouse addition to the right and rear of the building. Both structures have existing nonconformities. The building itself is set back about 4 feet from Dudley Street with a minimum of 10 feet required. The existing shed, which has a footprint of approximately 1,800 square feet, that's big, is located in the southwest corner of the site and is set back less than 3 feet from the rear property line and less than a foot from the right side property line. The applicant is proposing to construct an addition to the building using the existing non-conforming rear and right side yard setbacks of the shed. They have requested that we open the hearing and continue to a later date until they have had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Ciampa about this existing non-conforming strategy. I think we should probably extend them, continue them to February 9th at this point, which would be the next available meeting.
Thank you, Director Ricker. Let's see if there are any initial comments from the board, starting with Steve.
Yeah, the applicants provided a fairly thorough impact statement, and they enumerated all of the items. I guess one of the immediate questions I had was regarding the 50% rule, because they seem to be the applicant's position seems to be that they are not providing an addition over 50% of the footprint because they are counting the existing sheds as part of the footprint. I have to think, I'm not sure how I feel about that at this point, but I could, it's an area where I could be persuadable. The proposed, the request for continuing non-conforming dimensions, I mean, we do have the ability through 5316 to alter yard setbacks, due to site-specific standard situations, and this is sort of an irregularly shaped lot, but it sounds like the applicant is planning to have a chat with inspectional services about that, and I can wait until they come back. But it is, I am really, when we worked on the revamp of the industrial district zoning, I was hoping that we would see 1 to 2 projects within 5 to 10 years. So I am pleased that we do have a proposal before us.
Great, thank you, Steve. Jean?
Yeah, I was happy to see them trying to figure out what to do with this crazy, odd-shaped space. I had the same thought that Steve did under 5.3.16. We could adjust the setbacks. I don't know if we would or not, but that's an opportunity. I couldn't understand, and they didn't put it in any of the materials, how they intended to change the facade of the current building. There's that huge sort of garage-type door on front, and then on the side, there's another garage door, and I had no understanding about what were they going to do about that, and it would be good to understand what they're going to do with the current building other than attach another building to it. So I hope these are things that planning can pass on to them. There's no page in the materials for how they calculated gross floor area and therefore how they calculated FAR. They're requesting a parking reduction from 20 to 13 spaces, but there was no TMDL. They didn't provide the required information for the reduction in solar they said they needed. There were no color renderings or just about anything else for the proposed addition. And I had the same thought that Steve did about compliance with 5.6.2D. I think that the footprint of the addition is large enough so they'd be subject to the requirements in 5.6.2D, the development standards. If they have another explanation, I'd be happy to hear it, but if they are subject to it, we'd have to line up what to do with all of them. There are quite a few.
The industrial district standards.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that are in 5.6.2D,
Yep.
development standards. Yep, that's it.
Great, thank you. Shayna?
So, in addition to what Steve and Jean have already mentioned, I am just interested to hear what they hear back from conservation. And that's it.
Great, thank you. Ken?
Yes, all the, I share the same concerns as the rest of the board members, but the other thing is, they're planning to completely demo, or they not, I don't know, the question is to them, the rear shed in the back.
Look like it.
If they are doing that, then how are they using that non-existing, non-conforming building and extending that out all the way up to the front of the lot? What their strategy is. I don't see how that falls within our regulations. If it's a renovation for a non-conforming building, then you can extend the non-conformity, but if you're taking it all down, I don't see how you can say there was a non-conforming building there, we're just extending it. They're taking it all down and building it up. So I'm not sure how, I need to look more into that. And I need them to explain what their strategy is for what they're trying to do here. And I think I definitely need to know what the strategy for square footage. Are they under or over? And I definitely need to know, is this, what their square footage is for existing and new addition. Are they counting the old shed as existing, but they're tearing it all down? So I think this has to meet our new design standards. But I want to listen to them, what they have to say.
Yeah. Thank you, Ken. I would agree. I think my initial read was that it seemed like by demolishing the existing shed, they easily got over the 50% threshold. But again, we'll certainly hear what they have to say. And I'm given, I think, Director Ricker, you said that they were speaking with Inspector Champa about the extension of the nonconformity.
That's correct.
I'm interested to hear what Inspectional Services thinks, because I agree. I think that's it is a generous read that the demolition of this shed and the construction of this new large addition is an extension of an existing non-conforming structure.
But even so, I mean, the bylaw says you can't increase it so as to create a greater nonconformity.
Correct.
And it's a much greater
Right, it is a greater nonconformity. So that's what it's a very generous read, which I don't necessarily agree with is where I am. Those are the two
Those are big
biggest
issues.
Those are big issues.
Those are big issues for how this thing moves ahead.
Right. So with that, there's plenty to, for them to address. Claire, I believe that you had identified February 6th as the continuance date.
I have that meeting as the 9th.
I'm sorry, February 9th. I did not look at my calendar. Consulted my faulty memory of the calendar for February. So is there a motion to continue docket
3879.
Sorry, thank you, 3879 to February 9th, 2026?
So motioned.
Second,
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean.
yes.
Shayna.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. So we will see them next year. All right, so we are running a bit ahead of schedule with the request for the continuance. I do not see our team here yet for 455 Mass Ave. I'm not sure if it's possible to contact them to let them know that we are running an hour ahead of schedule.
I just emailed them. I will also see if I can follow up.
Okay,
Excuse me,
great.
with a phone call.
So what I would suggest that we do is take new business at this time. We can also hold open forum, and then we will move to 455 Mass Ave when the applicant arrives. We'll take a recess until that time because we'll need to wait for that hearing time unless they are able to join us earlier. So at this time, I'll move to agenda item number 8, which is new business, and I'll turn it over to Director Ricker.
Great, thank you. I had a conversation with Mr. Benson about a potential new business item, and that is the transfer of the Myrac Hyundai Chevrolet site to McGovern Auto, is my understanding. It is a 7-acre, the property is 7 acres between Mass Ave and basically the Millbrook runs through. And part of the conversation I had with Mr. Benson was, you know, does the board want to consider this site and potentially look at maybe rezoning? The site is, the majority of the site is currently zoned as industrial. But it is a major land transaction that has recently occurred. And so, Jean, I don't know if you want to follow up.
No, I think you said it very well. I was very surprised to get the email from the person. I think everybody probably got it?
Yep.
Yes?
Yeah.
No? Everybody except Steve. They don't like you, Steve. Here it is. I don't know if this is asking too much of planning to ask them to come back next time with sort of an initial look at sort of how's it zoned, how might it be zoned going forward, just so we would have something to start thinking about.
Would this be other than the affordable housing overlay district, which is currently proposed?
We
Yeah, I
haven't
mean,
heard that yet.
there's nothing, we have no affordable housing overlay on the books currently, so that's not a viable
And
zoning.
And it would still be an overlay, so whatever the underlying zoning is,
Right.
it'd still be an overlay.
But Gene, my understanding is they went to the town to transfer their license, not anything else.
I don't know any of the details.
That's my understanding, okay?
Uh-huh.
So I'm assuming if you transfer the license, they're gonna want to still operate there and
The-
work there.
The letter or the email, and maybe it's not accurate,
That's
it
what I'm trying to
says,
say.
in the near future, both dealerships will be vacating Arlington. You think that's not correct?
I don't think so, because why would you go through the effort of going to the town and transferring the license?
Maybe Claire can, or someone in planning can track that down,
Sure, we can follow up on that with that.
It makes no sense to me, Gene.
unless they're gonna run the business for a year and move it.
I think this entire conversation is fairly speculative, and
Yep.
perhaps that
Yep.
the Department of Planning and Community Development welcoming this new owner to town and discussing how we can support them would be proposed next step.
Well, I will be looking for this to appear in the Warren Group's listings. as of last Saturday, it had not shown up there.
Great. So would that be a good next step is for the, again, assuming that this is a transaction that will, that is in fact happening
Yeah.
and will hit the books that the Department of Planning and Community Development contact the new owner as a
But
next step.
I'm also interested if the owner says, no, we're staying and running the dealerships, that's one thing, but if the owners say, sure, we're going to, vacate at some point, then I think we should start
Absolutely, those
thinking
are
about-
different conversations, but it would be speculative at this point, not
Yep.
knowing the intent
Yep.
of the owner.
Yep.
Okay,
The department can follow up.
great, thank you. Is there any other new business?
Yes.
Claire, oh, sorry,
Oh,
I was going to
that-
see if Claire had any other new business.
No other new business from me.
Okay,
Thank you.
Steve.
So at a couple of new businesses ago, I mentioned Cambridge's Massachusetts Avenue planning study. So this is the city's sort of effort to re-envision Mass Ave from Harvard Square through the intersection with the Alewife Brook Parkway. There is now an actual, planning document. They've, done the write-up and an initial proposal for zoning amendments. Two of the things that Cambridge appears to have been focusing on as part of this process were ground floor activation in certain areas, and also ways to expand the public realm in areas where the sidewalks weren't quite as wide as they wanted them to be. So there's the proposed ordinance, which I don't know if it's gone before their planning board or what the state of it is there. But they do have a couple of ideas that maybe we would want to maybe consider for the Heights.
Or East Arlington.
Or East Arlington, if folks would like copies of the stuff I was looking at, all right, very well, I will send them to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Steve. Jean, any other new business?
No.
Sheena?
No.
Ken?
Wish everybody happy holidays and a new year.
Great, thank you. That will close new business. We'll now we'll now take agenda item number 7, which is open forum. So if anyone joining us this evening would like to address the board, this would be the time available. All right, seeing no takers, we'll close agenda item number 7, and we will take a brief, well, perhaps not so brief, recess while we wait for our applicant, our special permit holder from 455 Mass Ave to arrive. If we are able to start before 9:40, we will do so, but we will take a recess until that time. Thank you. Actually, we should vote on that. Is there a motion to take a recess?
So moved.
Second,
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean.
yes.
Shayna.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. We will resume shortly, hopefully. So I'd just like to recall the redevelopment board meeting back from our momentary recess. And we are now opening agenda item number 6, which is the reopening of docket number 3673 for 455 Massachusetts Avenue. So we spoke with the applicant or the special permit holder and the team in November, and at that time determined that the best course of action was to reopen the special permit to address several of the facade changes which have occurred since the granting of the special permit. So I'll turn it over to the permit holders legal counsel now, and if you could just introduce yourself for the record, we'll go ahead and get started with our discussion.
My name is Corinne Doherty, excuse me, and I represent the 2-14 Medford Street LLC. Just to give you an update from where what has happened since we were here last. Yes, the special permit's been reopened. We were concerned that that couldn't happen in such a short span of time, but it did. So we are here, and we are looking for approval of the facade update that was submitted last Monday. Again, I have spoken with both town council and town manager, and they're kind of both on board with us trying to push the project forward. So at your request, I am here this evening. The project manager, John Murphy, is here, and the architect, Dave Barsky, is here as well. So I guess if you have any questions or comments about the new facade update, any questions, whatever, we would be happy to answer them.
Great, thank you very much. I'll go ahead and start off, and then we'll allow the other board members to discuss as well. So I appreciate you coming back with a proposed facade mitigation. I think that there are quite a few other items that I would like to see, so that we can achieve the so that we can get much closer to the facade that was originally approved, which is in the special permit from the redevelopment board. So I'm just going to run through a list of items that I'd like to see included. The first item that I'd like to see if we could address is the cornice at the first floor facade here. So you can see here at this corner, we have a very abrupt change from the cornice that faces Mass Ave to the cornice on the Mystic Street facade. That was mitigated when Leader Bank was in the building, because there was a significant break in the facade, a strong corner element there. What I would like to see is that cornice from along Mass Ave to actually turn the corner and to use a precast or other material to bookend the end of, I believe, the dental practice. So where the facade jogs out, for that to again bookend the way that we have it does not have to be an arched opening, but to bookend material in a material way, the way that we end the cornice on the left hand of this facade. I can show you. To turn, so where we have the start of this cornice here, for this to turn and terminate at this area here, so you don't need to run this cornice the entire way down Mystic Street, but we need a better way for this to terminate than it does right now. This is abrupt, and it architecturally does not work at all. So that's the first item. In the original approved rendering, there was a water table, a water table at the base of the building. Right now, the brick runs all the way to the sidewalk. If we can apply a water table to the base of this building, that would get us much closer to where we were before. And we will, again, there's some dimensionality. It's a very flat brick facade. So if we can get back to, again, some of the dimension that was removed when the brick was added, that would be the next detail we'd love to see. Where the teller window was removed, that window matches nothing else in this facade. You have storefront and you have the punched window openings. Understanding, again, those were not what was approved, but those are what are there now. I think that the teller window infill, if that can match the storefront that you have in the rest of this corner space, that would be preferable. I'm open to the other window type, but I think that that's all one space, correct?
Correct, and it's probably not clear there, although it may have been in one of the emails. What we had thought there was to make a nice framed-in, weather-tight, all-season historical photo, taking up that whole space of some of the 2 photos that we had submitted were some of the options that have we've been able to dig up from the town, but to basically recreate it versus putting a brand-new window in there, but kind of with a little plaque. I mean, we're open to ideas, but we probably just need to really check with the tenant before we put a window back into one of their, there's a dental chair, I believe, in there, so there's gonna be window treatment, it's gonna be closed all the time.
Sure. I think that if there is some sort of a plaque that, again, we'll talk with the other board members, I would actually prefer that we remove that window and do some sort of an inset plaque there rather than this, again, this window that
that would
really
be- that would
doesn't
be
match
fine.
either of your window styles. But again, we'll talk to the other board members. That's the third item I had on my list. The Verizon storefront, and actually, quite frankly, all of your storefront windows, again, what we're missing is some of the articulation that we had before. So the storefront windows, again, if we are able to add a stone or precast lintel and header above this, let's give the facade a little bit more dimension like we had we had a lot more dimension before, but meet us partway here. And I believe that those are opaque panels that are inset, or is that glazing to the left and above in the transom
were?
above the door in
Those
the
were,
Verizon storefront?
glazing.
That's clear
Yeah.
glazing?
Yeah.
Okay, great. If we can go to the corner rendering again, Claire. And again, my colleagues may have more. I'm just running through the items I have. On the second floor, you have not applied the Greek pediment structure yet. Do not apply the Greek structure. That does not belong on this building. The original facade, can you go to the original facade that we approved? I understand your windows are smaller in scale than what was approved. Knowing that your windows are in place, this cornice treatment with the slight shed roof that we have here, which really worked to break down the height of this facade, add some shadow line and some dimension. I'd like to see that added to this building. And because these windows are so much shorter than the windows that were approved, I'd like to have your architect look at a detail above these windows to try and break down some of this large unarticulated facade that we have here. But I don't think that the parapet extension is an appropriate solution. I'd like to see something applied that again brings this down rather than raises it even taller. And those are the major items that I had.
Okay.
Okay? Ken, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, we already talked about,
Sorry, Kate.
you can leave it there.
You want this one?
No, no, back up the other screen.
This one?
Yeah. So, we're not gonna do this kind of Greek thing here, and we're gonna try to break the scale. There's too much space here, so we're gonna put that little awning along the building to give some depth. Add maybe a head treatment around the windows, so get back to proportions the way it was before. The windows before was much higher and closer to that, so it had a nice proportion to it. Now, they're little small punch windows. That right there is fine, and then this corner entry right here. If you go back to the old one there, it was flanked with stone panels and glass. It gave it some presence in that corner there. Now you look at what it is now, you don't have that. It just looks like something there, so if we can maybe flank this off or something, and then continue this cornice across. I'm hoping there's more of this cornice behind this thing that you guys enclosed in, because the leader bank sign went all the way to here, and this was all enclosed. So I'm assuming there's more of this stuff over here.
There is some stuff. It's to the left of the leader bank space was in much better shape, and so some of the covering up was because it's kind of a mess. So we might have to restoring the traditional precast from before. We left to the left of leader bank if you're facing it. That's just as is. We were able to restore it. Other side was in
But
pretty
the
bad.
encapsulation here is quite bland.
Okay.
It doesn't look quite right. It looks like something just came right here and just came across and stopped,
Okay.
okay?
And again, you're looking for more of the breakup going back the other way from where
We
you
want
just
this
started,
to go back, at least, you
and then an end.
see there's a bump out right here?
Yeah.
That bump out had a different material on it.
Yeah.
If you go back to the previous thing, it was a different material. It went straight up high and it had a way to terminate it.
Okay.
So there was this, and there was this. All right, so I'm not asking you to redo this, okay? I'm just asking you to somehow come here and put some sort of transition here. Because this is okay here, but it should stop somewhere here and transition so that this carries across. So it looks like something. And then if you look at this elevation here, if we go back and look at we go back to the old elevation? Yeah, we had a similar little awning here, like this right here, so it sort of talked to each other. They're the same kind of language, so it sort of looked good, all right? And then you got 3 windows there and a planter down below. You look at what it is now, it's just what that is. And I don't know what happened, but we lost the window. And this wasn't brick. It was the same material, so look, it looked like its own building. Like buildings being developed over time. That's how we approved it, and it looked fine that way. It wasn't just looked like something that just someone came and just brick veneered everything. So if we can do that, that is something that's we want to talk about.
Ken, when you say do that, what do you mean? Do you mean put back the 3rd window? Do you mean put in?
I'm okay with having 2 windows there. I'm not gonna.
You're asking for the awning and the planters, though,
Yes.
And to match what will be on top.
what will be on top?
Yes.
Got it.
And then maybe have you actually look at, maybe we just paint this brick white, so it looks like it was the other elevation where it was white masonry. I'm not, asking you to strip it all down, not asking you to do all this other stuff.
So where the lobby, just so we can understand the partitions, so you have the door, window, little column, window, little column, and that's where the lobby ends. Just so are you specifically referring to door, window, painting white?
Let's talk about the painting of the brick. I think that's something we need to discuss as to whether or not that's,
I think the architect has to come up with a comprehensive plan. I don't want to just come back here and say, hey, here's one item, here's no item. I want to look at this as a composite, the whole thing here. Say, okay, here's what we had before. There's definitely a design to it, where this corner's here, could have matched this corner down here. There was more punched windows. They had a little planter bed right here, so it looked like this was one building. Here was another building. If you can come up with that kind of a look. Right now, when I look at this right here, it doesn't look like one big, it looks like one big building. Doesn't look like little small storefronts that's built up over time. This one I can give or take out. I'll listen to what my rest of the board members think. But this little bump out, the bump out like 6 inches, that was highlighted and articulated where it came in a different material, and it had a way of bookmarking this end and this end here. It had the 2 things going. And we talked about that, we liked that. Also, now that all went away, and it just kept on going across, even though it sticks out. With these, at the Verizon store here, we would like to have some sort of a sill and lintel that goes all the way across, so it doesn't look like it's forced in there. If you look at some of the other ones, there are some headers and lintels there. If you somehow get that in there, and I'm glad you said that this is clear glass around the recessed storefront. It looks to look like an opaque panel, but we wanted to know this as open as possible to look inside the store. I don't know, I think I talked enough for now, but I think that's good for now. Does that give you enough
I
direction?
think it gives me enough. Dave, does that give you enough?
Well,
Hi.
hi, let's hear from the other members of the board.
Okay.
I want to make sure that we're in alignment. And I also want to confirm with you that the board's we will not go in front of Historic again. You're done conversing with Historic. So this is the approval that you will need from this board.
I just have one question on that. It seems as if everything that they've approved and they wanted is being taken out, so we're not gonna run afoul of the fact that.
That is correct.
Okay,
This
that they
board
made a
is the
decision.
board that has the approving authority, that
Okay.
any changes that were proposed by that board would have had to come back to this board. So I have spoken with town council. There will be no further Historic review or input on this project.
Okay.
Thank you. Sheena?
Thank you. In addition to what my colleagues have raised, I have real concerns about the loss of glazing on the lower level. You know, if it were solely up to me, I would say add back that third window that has been removed. I am open to my colleagues' feedback on that, but that teller window, I think I'm not open to having a picture there. I think that does need to be glazing. I understand that there's a dental chair located there. You know, we can talk about appropriate treatments, but there probably won't be a dental practice for all time in that location. And I think Rachel and Ken have covered my other most important concerns.
Thank you, Shayna. Jean?
What's the material on the second floor now? The facade, what's it made of?
It's just it's a clapboard siding.
It just, for me at least, clapboard siding on the second floor doesn't work with anything on the first floor at all. It looks like somebody at some point added a clapboard siding second floor and it didn't work. If you can go back, Claire, to the one we approved, there was, you know, this area with the sort of tan, and it spoke to the second floor, which had the exact same thing. It created something which is now completely lost. So I could not agree to the second floor with clapboard siding at all. It doesn't work with the brick, and to me, it doesn't work with the brick at least. And it's inconsistent with what we approved. The brick, that's not real brick, right? It's like plastic.
It's not plastic, but it's not real brick. It's like a veneer.
Yeah, it's like a veneer made out of what?
The cementitious material, the embossed cementitious material.
Yeah.
It's not a true thin brick?
No, I touched it. Probably
It
trespassed.
it sounds like when you tap it with your fingernails, it sounds like hardy board.
So I don't find that acceptable either, you know, there. It's an important corner in town. It's historic. And I would like you to come back with something that looks a lot more like what we had approved. That's where I am on it.
Thank you, Jean. Steve?
the one thing about this corner that I sort of have a hard time with today is,
Do you want the current?
we could start here. I do like the demise wall where, this treatment is different than this treatment, and it looks like a smaller storefronts that were built over time. With this area where it's two windows, can we go back to the rendering?
Yes.
Where you've now having them each in their own separate panel, you lose the distinction where this was part of Leader Bank and this was part of the sort of next facade. Now it kind of looks like two windows and one that doesn't match. I guess these are awnings over top. If there's no awning, the casement is different. I guess this window doesn't, I'm not sure which side of the building it belongs to, but it would be nice to have to pick a personality for it, either make it similar to these or be something different than those.
Or be the storefront.
Yeah, be the part of the storefront.
Right.
Yeah, actually, it's not a window though, right? It's not a window.
No, I said that though.
It's not a window, so that's why, we'll just take out that element. That was supposed to be like a historic plaque, and it just looks like a window in the drawing, but it's not really a window.
Okay.
So that's why, again, we're open to suggestions, but as it stands right now, that is not a window.
Okay.
Well, it's not a window anymore, because
It was
you
a window.
bricked in a window opening.
Well, but even before that, when it was an ATM window, it wasn't that shape.
I understand it wasn't that shape, but it was glazed.
Is an
No, it was-
ATM window glazed?
Yeah, you could see into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Given that this is not a true thin brick, I think
Yeah, I would pull back the painting thing. I mean, I thought it was a true brick veneer.
I don't think that that's an appropriate material at all for this corner.
This was the material that was submitted again. Unfortunately, Historic approved it.
Again, it never made it to the redevelopment board, and a faux product that is not a true thin brick or a brick is not appropriate for this corner. Jean, I think you brought this up. I completely agree, and I agree with you, Jean. I think that we need to make a change.
Can we listen to what he was going to say? Sure.
Go ahead.
You were going to comment on something?
I have some questions more than anything else.
Sure.
I did not play a design role in this project. You may know, I was handed the project after the original architect did whatever they did. And my role at that time was to basically preserve what I was handed. And then a lot of things have changed since then. I've been sort of following directions more than actually playing the role of an architect of, designing per se. That's really where I have not done any design on this. They tell me to do this, I do that. I came and saw the brick one day, which I hadn't seen. It was on the building that was the first time I saw the brick was when it was on the building. And I would have to say that I'm on the same page with you guys for the most part. And I have a lot of historical architectural background. I've done a lot of preservation and stuff. So I see how this goes contrary to a lot of, what might have been done had I been involved from the get-go. So now we're at a point where we have to this is what we have, and we've got to move forward and try to, see if how we can steer the ship more in the direction that we all want. I think we're on the same page. I have a couple of questions and one thing to say. With regards to the windows on the second level, the reason that they look smaller is because they're significantly lower than they were drawn. And the reason for that is that portion of the building, the floor of that building is much lower than I guess the original architect was able to anticipate, given that, you know, he had, I have also the quote-unquote existing drawings that he was working from, he or she, I don't really know. And they're very scant and they're incomplete. And so I think that's where that comes from. I was looking at I was asked by our client to come up with some approach to try to mitigate that massive distance from the top of the window to the cornice. And I was looking at an old historic photo of this building, very old, and it had those panels. You can barely see them. The contrast on this, that's a photograph actually, it's a photo rendering Photoshop. It's not, it's kind of a pastiche of different methods. If you look closely, if I may.
Please.
So this approach here, where you see this paneling here, I think that might be something you might consider to help mitigate this. The fact that there's lap siding here, that was on the drawings of the previous architect, and that's why it's there now. As was this element here, which I think I'm on the same page there with regards to its inappropriateness at that level. I really don't, I'm not sure, we'll have to go in and see why this was built the way that it was, and why it projects out as much as it was, because it wasn't what I was anticipating either. Couple of questions that I have. If you're going to put planters, those planters would be in the public way. Is that acceptable? There's a lot of things, all the different cities that we work in, like most cities, that I can't put a toenail into the public way. And here, obviously, you guys, this is a different situation. We have, you know, the awnings and whatnot. So, but planters would be fairly invasive in terms of how much space they would occupy on the sidewalk.
Right. That and again, that is what part of what was approved in the initial. Right. Yeah. So that is again what one of the items that we gave to the applicant originally was the coordination of the planter locations.
So are these? Do we have some limiting distances from the front, from the building? How much they can project out and that sort of thing? Are there any parameters that we can work with?
Yeah, I mean, I think the planters are one thing. I'd like to focus on the facade for the most part here. And, you know, again, I believe that there is room to add the third, to Shayna's point, to add the third window. This element here is a suggested applied element that is not here. Right, so again, whether it becomes 3 windows and that plaque element becomes a blank part of the, you know, I think and again, the board can discuss, I could live with an element of the facade that was not a punched opening there if we added the third window in sequence where that was originally planned between the 2 punched openings to the right of the arched doorway. Shayna?
We're talking about this element here, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I would just add, if we had to choose, it'd probably be back towards the leader bank space, because there is a pretty rundown behind there, breaking apart column that we just tried to repair as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have to get, you know, it's more invasive to do that than to go back to the lead, just for 2 cents.
Can I just ask in this, what's behind the sort of traffic light pole? Is there another window there? What is?
There's a storefront window there.
That's a large pane that's existing. That's
So it's
storefront as this is.
okay.
Can we, I don't want to get too far into details right now, but I think Gene brings up a real good issue here. that there is no dialogue between the second floor and the first floor now. So if you look at the original approved plans, there was eyebrows that went across, all the way across all the windows on the second floor, and there's ones on the first floor. And they had a kind of dialogue with each other. They look like similar.
The upper of the two renderings, yes.
Can you explain just quickly why these are different?
The bottom was not approved by the redevelopment board. We're looking at the upper.
I'm not looking at this in here, don't look at this in here. Okay? That has nothing to do with us. All right?
Okay, is this the?
That's the-
That is the,
choice? That,
yes,
like, if we
that
can
is where
snap
we
our
are
fingers, this is
trying,
where we want
that
to
is
go.
correct.
Okay, this is what we approved, okay? But see how there's an image of this right here?
Yeah.
There's an image right here like that?
Sure.
It sort of talks to each other, right? And you look at the material here and here,
I
they
couldn't
talk
agree
to,
more.
they talk to each other, okay?
Yeah.
Now, if you look at what's there now, it's not. So I'm challenging you to say, hey, can we get something across here that's gonna go across here so they look similar, you know? They don't have to be exactly the same, but they have a dialogue. The material here and here, Gene, please, but your point, it's not the same.
I think that we should go back and huddle over the comments that they're suggesting and allow me to come up with some solutions that don't mean tearing the whole building down. A couple of other questions. What was the material that was prescribed? I couldn't quite make it out in the original one here. It looks a bit like brick. Was it brick?
That was a precast, that was a
What
stone.
was this supposed to be?
That was existing.
Okay,
That was
so-
existing.
But I mean, this is the rendering that you're trying to accomplish, so.
Again, the building that was on the corner was existing. That was the fact that it was a separate volume that was articulated as a retail identity is desired. Returning back to that leader bank facade is not what that is. You have now removed that. So that was a corner retail property. That was not part of, basically, that brick element through the, from the left side of the leader bank sign band to the bay to the right of the striped facade. That was existing. That was not part of the design. That was
So you were
working
handed
around
this
that.
and you couldn't change?
Correct.
Okay,
Right.
gotcha.
That was in place.
So this is kind of a clean slate, and we're gonna try to, and it ended up being what we have now, but, okay. Now, the other.
A clean slate with the proviso that, that I think a distinct corner or a flat or continuous surface throughout is not in the spirit of what was approved.
Correct.
Yeah, we thought this was the top of the window, there's some sort of transom up here.
Right.
And then there was so then we got this humongous band of wall.
Well, yeah, and because the floor is way down here,
Which-
that's why.
Yes, but, if,
So we have to fix it. I mean, we have to come up with an architect.
come with something that has, something that gives back the scale and proportion that makes it look comfortable.
Mhm.
It's one thing,
Mhm.
but if you do it differently, then it's,
Now this is a raised metal roof, that's what that is.
Correct.
Is that mandated now? Is that something that, because I will detail that if that's what you
That was
are
that was
expecting.
approved. Again, we are trying to work together with the team to mitigate the size or the expanse, the unarticulated expanse that we have below the
I think we can
cornice.
do that, yeah.
We liked and approved and, worked hard with the applicant to approve this metal awning attachment, the shed roof attachment, and that would be a welcome return. But again, as you look at this in totality, we're not going to design this for you. We would like to see what you are able to
Okay.
come to the table with, but the board was comfortable with and approved the top facade.
Now, this is green lap siding, right? Is that that's what was approved?
I believe so. Let me
Yeah,
take
I
a
think
look.
so.
Yes, that was green lap
I don't
siding.
think that's an issue right now, okay?
Honestly, I don't have as much of a problem as you do with the differentiation between the bottom and the top. I mean, I think that that's a pattern that you're gonna see a lot all over the place. This building has one thing going on here and another thing going on here. And a lot of these buildings have been ruined by the storefronts. You know, that's the reality of it, like, you know. But let's just say that if we're working with what's going on here now, I do think that some solution that mitigates this incredible expanse above the windows is, I'm sure we can come up with something there. What about this railing here? Is that, where are we on that? I actually,
Go ahead, please.
oh, no,
You actually,
you're expecting that to be there, I'm
Yes.
assuming. Okay, that's quite an easy one as well. I think that would add a lot to the building.
That's already part of the
The,
design.
when you say water table, I'm assuming you're referring to this,
Yes.
right? Okay, so, now, I don't think solid brick is an option, and then you end up going to thin brick, which I don't like any more than I like the cementitious embossed Home Depot brick, I call it. So whatever we choose there, we're gonna have, like, brick, you know, the brick will literally come into the public way by a minimum of, you know, at least 6 inches, which I'm assuming is not gonna work. So we have to come up with a solution that is quite flat, and I think we can do that. It would probably end up being, again, some kind of, there's some very good cementitious materials out there these days that look very much like precast, so maybe that's the answer there. I'm not 100% sure, but, gosh, it's
Well,
David, are there solutions that we can work on since the material is already on the building?
yes.
Versus ripping things off? We'd rather add significant more details and elements than be ripping anything off a building at
do
this
you
point.
understand the transition of the cornice on the, between the first
I
floor?
mean, here, yeah. I mean, again, I don't know why this came out the way that it did. I think maybe there were some
Well,
obstacles.
we're not asking why, we're just asking, do you understand what our intent?
If you go, let's go back to the leader bank for a minute.
so, right, that cornice really,
So it looks to me like this projected out significantly, and that the current solution is a function of having built over whatever this
Yeah.
built up projection is, so.
Yeah, that sign probably set out like 8,
I think it
10
was the
plus
sign which
inches.
everyone agrees was a good thing to take down.
So if we're trying to, may I go back to the other one?
Yes, of course.
If we're trying to resolve this, eliminating the projection would be, I think, a tall order. Maybe if there's some, like, I think if we could pick up this is precast, I believe.
Yes.
And this is not precast.
Well, see that first bay? The leader bank covered that first bay.
This bay here.
No,
to the
all
left.
the
right
way
there,
here,
yeah, okay.
yeah.
So, I'm saying, can we investigate taking that off and see how,
See what's under.
see what's in there and see if we can at least repair and get that back somehow, or something along those lines. But you know, our intent is now, it's not what's there, but I mean, it looks,
It's unresolved.
How
yes.
did the brick end up being there? Was that, you said that was historic, that was?
Well, part of the issue is that the material that was there before was popping off. Leader Bank didn't notify the landlord that it was popping off, and they were just gluing them on. So when Leader Bank vacated, all the tiles started popping off because it wasn't weather appropriate for New England. And so when the applicant went into historic, they said, well, we don't like the tile anyway, we prefer the brick. They approved the brick, and they approved all of the design elements that were supposed to be inserted above. And if you look at one of the historical photographs that they provided the applicant, that's kind of the look and feel that they wanted with the building. And that's kind of what the applicant went with. And they actually, historic wanted that brick all the way down Medford Street, and they wanted it to go around the corner because they thought it kind of brought it back to an earlier period in time. So that's why
And we did
it
discover it
happened.
was just plywood behind that tile, just for, so you know.
And again, I mean, obviously it had to come down because it was a safety hazard at that point.
I think like the addition of the water table would help. I think resolving this here would help. And then doing something in here that accentuates the corner, I think is really, I'm all in on that.
And you want a vertical end, basically where Leader Bank's old space used to end going down
I think you
Medford
need to
Street.
transition, but again, if we're going to work on that cornice, we need a transition point. And I think if you do it without having a vertical element like, again, the precast arched element, which was, originally supposed to travel further in towards the Leader Bank side, I think if you're able to add an element like that to the adjacent, facade before you get to the bay with the green volume above on the second floor.
This transition right here is very awkward. We don't want you to just move this transition down over here. and
Right.
just leave it the same way.
It needs to
has
terminate.
somehow have some sort of verticality that terminates it and makes a transition, because otherwise, you're just moving this awkward transition from here to here. And we just want to put something there that makes that transition work okay.
Not unlike, again, the arched element projects proud of the brick facade.
When you say arched element, you're talking about, are you talking about this?
Nope.
No, you're talking about here, right?
I'm talking about this transition
Oh,
here.
yeah.
How there is a shadow line here, this projects, whether it winds up being here, or again, this was the original transition point of the Leader Bank facade. Having a termination point, this transitions from this cornice to this cornice here. We need to transition from what will be this cornice wrapping around to this cornice here. And so, again, bookending these elements, if this becomes one language, if you've now made this one language, you need to bookend it on this side as well.
But this is an entry.
I understand
And
that.
there's no entry back here.
Doesn't have to be exactly
It
the
does not
same.
have to be exactly the same, but again,
Right.
we need a vertical
want some
element
kind of a-
like that element, which again,
And you would like to see that here, basically, am I right?
yes.
Okay.
Where that volume, again, where we decide to, and again, we are where we are right now, there is less of a relationship to, the cornice needs a place to end, and it should not be where it is currently at that corner.
Does that
Do
give,
we have more alignment?
does that give you enough direction right now, or at least you have enough to work from?
Yeah. I need to kind of, I know a lot about materials and all that stuff. It should be, if anyone can do it, I'm sure I can. I just, gonna have to think about how I can do this and work with what's there, and then sort of as a departure point and
Right.
see. We'll have to do some investigation to see what's going on specifically, behind the curtain over here.
Right. But, again, popping this cornice up higher on the second floor to allow that pediment to have some place to land, that's not what we want to do. We want to, again, decrease the scale
Yeah.
visually of this building.
Well, their solution of having some kind of a projection along here, I think,
Yeah, great,
go a long way.
perfect.
Yeah.
And having some sort of dialogue with the lower windows below.
Right, and making sure that we repeat that, the shed awning below.
The building, the inside of this building is like, it's gone through so many transitions. That's why I completely understand how the original architect didn't catch the difference in floor height here. If you look at the plan, we've got stairs going up and down and all
Yep.
over the place. So it it was from a code standpoint, it was very challenging.
I'm sure.
To get the accessibility that we needed. I mean, I think I have enough information to go
Yeah.
on to.
Just a little bit unrelated, but mainly just for the business owner, even just Verizon, if we left the material of the facade even not finished, prepped for anything, just to give him his glass so he can look open, that would be just, I told him I would ask.
Right. I'll leave it up to the other members of the board. I am okay with the glazing as you've elevated it. I would, again, prefer that we articulate, because it's not a full storefront window, if we can articulate below and above in the way that we've asked to see that in the adjacent facade on the corner. It reads, again, very, very flat.
And
So-
David, when you drew that, what was the, from sidewalk, what is that distance between bottom of glazing to
Are you talking about
ground?
the distance from here to here?
Yes.
I think it's about 24 inches.
You say, it shows 18.
Well, this is, oh, yeah, there it is. So, yeah, sorry, 18, that's right.
We want a sill there, below the storefront, as a transition between the storefront and whatever near you got down below. And we want a header above that, which carries across the opening.
I agree.
Okay, so it looks like it's not like a punch, has a little more depth to it, okay?
So if we left that distance that's showing that right on the plan, incorporated the final look and feel for when we are coming back, but we can go ahead and put his windows in as depicted there as the specific request.
Does it need a water table?
I mean, here you have the precast going all the way down.
I am generally speaking.
If this and
okay.
this were similar, I think that would help. And then like you're suggesting that there's some relief here so that this doesn't look like a cardboard box, right? And then the header, I don't think the header is a problem to accomplish.
Well, I'm not speaking for the board, but if you would give me a revised drawing of that, we're willing to look at it and work with you.
Rather than, they're trying to get the glazing in, I think if we could give them direction, again, if it's a header and a sill, can we give them direction on Verizon today? Shayna?
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Provided that is glass
It is glass.
on either side of that,
This is a overnight quickie rendering that we were asked to do, that it's not really, we can make it look like it's built for real, so.
Okay.
The next rendering you see is gonna be a lot more, resolved, both architecturally and visually in terms of it.
But that is all glass. The front, the return, glass door. The door isn't even changing the glass around the door.
I'm okay with that.
Is there a concern with this material, again, not being a true cementitious material, with it not having a base and coming down to the storefront? Again, I want to make sure that we're not going to have a weathering and a wear issue.
Well, we haven't, and so what I was just suggesting was we don't even have to put material on there technically right this
Okay.
second until we come back. We just want to
Just
get
need to get the glass.
just
I
want
think
to get
that
his
that's
glass
fine,
in.
and then we can continue to work on the
base
facade
and
material. Thank you, I appreciate that.
But the storefront's probably, what, 8-10 weeks out?
It's not. We actually, we have a few pieces that we've saved, that we could put it in almost immediately.
Okay, because I just know that storefront right now, lead times are huge.
We
But let's
haven't-
get them started on it,
Okay.
so we can approve the glazing at Verizon, and we'll continue the conversation on the storefront material, and then the mitigations to the other facades. Okay. So we'll need to continue the special permit hearing to a future date so that we can continue the the review. We are, get my calendar out here. So we have 3 hearings plus all of the warrant articles on the 12th, so we're looking at the 26th. How many hearings do we have now on the 26th? Of January.
We're not going to do it that fast here.
If I'm away that day, but can I participate virtually?
On the 26th?
Yeah, is that okay?
I will have to defer to the department.
Yeah.
What about some other dates?
The next date we would have is February 9th.
I mean, if you're okay with, I mean,
It's up to you guys.
I'm hoping.
January
that the next time
26th
you
and
come,
February
people
9th.
speak for themselves and you won't even
Yep.
need a, you know, to, you know, I'm fairly confident I can do it.
New application today. I was hoping to be on the agenda for the 26th. Okay, so February 9th is the next available date, it sounds like. Okay. All right, so is there a motion to continue? Pull up the docket number. The hearing for docket 3673, 455 Mass Ave to February 6th.
Do we need to do approve the Verizon piece first and then continue, or?
We can do the approval first. We could make a formal motion to approve the proposed storefront glazing,
Storefront only, not,
storefront glazing.
yeah.
At the Verizon tenant storefront.
So motioned.
I'll
Second,
second, okay.
Okay, we'll take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean.
yes.
Shayna.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, and so following that vote, is there a motion to continue the hearing for docket number 3673, 455 Mass Ave to February 6th? 9th. Why do I keep saying the 6th? Thank you very much. To
So
the 9th.
motioned.
Second,
We'll take a vote, starting with Steve.
Yes.
Jean.
yes.
Shayna.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Thank you very much.
Can I, well, I so have you here. I'm sorry. A couple of meetings back, we had talked to you about 882. And you were going to get us some color samples and do some stuff to the building. Where is the status of that?
I provided, we submitted another round of samples, and I provided answers to every one of your questions, every one of your comments, and I believe that Ms. Ricker was going to prepare a memo to submit to you to submit everything that I had provided. So I have addressed every one of the concerns.
That is true, and you can anticipate a memo at your next meeting related to 882.
That's
But we have resubmitted the samples. I'm not sure if painting can happen now until the spring, just because of the nature of the paint especially, but they've been submitted, so it's, whenever you want to approve a paint color,
Thank you,
that would be great, and we'll get right on it.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
One more thing?
Yes?
For 190 through, I don't know what number to call it. It's 190 through 98 or something like that,
200.
We're
190,
calling
yeah.
it 200.
Yeah.
100. Thank you. I noticed you guys tore it down,
Yes.
and you said you guys were going to give us a sample of all the colors and all the materials for us to review.
He's working on a board actually as we speak.
I actually called the rep again today. He said he thinks it's gonna be tomorrow. He said, unless I have it in hand, don't tell anybody it's 100%, but we should have that.
He's putting together, we'll drop off an in-person board of
So-
all.
I'm just-
January 12th.
I'm just trying to head off.
Yep.
I want to work like this, okay?
Yep.
Going forward, so no miscommunications, so I'm just asking now, saying, let's work together on this.
Well, thank you, and it will be submitted soon.
Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so with that, that concludes our agenda items for tonight's meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So motioned.
Second,
Take a vote, starting with Steve,
Yes.
Jean,
yes.
Shayna,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.